Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Baseball has seen giants. Ruth, Williams, DiMaggio. But no one embodied both strength and fragility quite like Lou Gehrig. For 14 years, he was the Iron Horse, playing 2,130 consecutive games, never flinching, never faltering, standing tall as the heartbeat of the New York Yankees. Fans believed he was unbreakable, a man made of steel and willpower. And yet, on a summer day in 1939, that same man stood before a silent Yankee Stadium and declared himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth, even as a deadly disease stripped him of everything. How did a boy from an immigrant family become not only one of the greatest hitters in baseball history, but also the face of courage in the midst of tragedy? Henry Louis Gehrig was born on June 19, 1903, in New York City, the only surviving child of German immigrant parents. His father, often unemployed due to poor health, drifted in and out of jobs. His mother, Christina, worked tirelessly as a maid and cook, determined to give her son opportunities she never had. Their small apartment in Manhattan was cramped and modest, but it was filled with a sense of perseverance. Young Lou grew up shy, large-framed, and awkward compared to other children. He faced ridicule in school, often seen as clumsy or too quiet. But at home, he was his mother's pride. Christina, who believed deeply in education, dreamed Lou would become an engineer and rise above the struggles of their working-class life. Lou took her words to heart. He was studious, respectful, and unusually humble for a boy his age. Baseball, however, was always close by. In vacant lots and city streets, Lou found freedom in the swing of a bat and the crack of a ball off makeshift fences. He carried the burden of his family's hopes, but discovered a joy that couldn't be contained. It was here, among the sidewalks and sandlots of New York, that the Iron Horse first began to take shape. Lou Gehrig's path toward greatness wasn't immediate. In fact, for much of his youth, the plan was for him to study engineering at Columbia University, his mother's dream for him. And he did. At Columbia, Lou was a quiet, disciplined student. But on the baseball field, his raw power began to catch the eye of those who mattered. One defining moment came in June 1923, when Columbia faced a powerhouse team. Scouts filled the stands, and Gehrig stepped up to the plate. What happened next became legend: a thunderous swing, a ball rocketing out of the park, and a crowd stunned by the sheer force. He wasn't just strong, he was extraordinary. That game caught the attention of New York Yankees scout Paul Krickel, who had been watching closely. He knew immediately that this young man was something rare. Within weeks, Gehrig signed with the Yankees. Suddenly, the boy who once played stickball in city streets found himself in pinstripes, walking into the same dugout as Babe Ruth. It was a moment of destiny, one that would set the stage for one of baseball's most iconic partnerships and rivalries. From that day forward, Lou Gehrig was no longer just a college kid with a dream. He was on his way to becoming the Iron Horse of Yankee Stadium, ready to etch his name into history. Once Lou Gehrig put on the pinstripes, he never looked back. In 1925, he stepped into the Yankees lineup and began a streak that would define him: 2,130 consecutive games, a feat so unthinkable it stood untouched for more than half a century. Day after day, year after year, Gehrig was there, through broken fingers, fevers, and bruises that would sideline ordinary men. He earned the name the Iron Horse, not just for his durability, but for the steady power he brought to every at-bat. His swing was compact yet devastating, producing line drives that seemed to leap off his bat. By 1927, Gehrig was no longer just Babe Ruth's quiet teammate. He was a force of his own. That year, the Yankees assembled what is still called Murderer's Row, with Ruth and Gehrig anchoring the heart of the lineup. Ruth hit 60 home runs, but Gehrig drove in 175 runs, capturing the American League MVP award. Together, they were unstoppable, rewriting what dominance in baseball looked like. But Lou was more than just Ruth's partner. He was his contrast. While Ruth lived loudly, flashing charisma, chasing headlines and indulging in the nightlife, Gehrig was humble, disciplined, almost painfully shy. He let his bat do the talking. Over his career, he posted a .340 batting average, hit 493 home runs, and collected 1,995 RBIs. He was especially feared in clutch moments. His 23 career Grand Slams stood as a major league record for decades. With Gehrig in the lineup, the Yankees became a dynasty. He won 6 World Series championships, made 7 All-Star teams, and claimed 2 MVP titles. Fans adored him not for theatrics, but for reliability. He was the player who never asked for glory, yet always delivered it. Still, beneath the glory, there were tensions. His relationship with Babe Ruth, once a brotherhood, grew strained. Ruth resented Lou's rising fame, and Lou quietly bristled at Ruth's reckless lifestyle. Their coldness became an undercurrent in the Yankee clubhouse. Yet when they took the field, their rivalry only sharpened their dominance, pushing both men to heights that baseball had never seen. For nearly 15 years, Lou Gehrig was the unshakable foundation of the New York Yankees, a man who never missed a game, never stopped producing, and never broke character. To many, he seemed indestructible. But the Iron Horse was about to face a battle that even he could not win. In the spring of 1938, something began to change. The Iron Horse, the man who had once seemed invincible, started to slow. Balls he used to drive into the gaps now died in the infield. His once fluid stride looked heavy, uncertain. Fans whispered that age was catching up to him. But what they didn't know was far darker. By early 1939, the signs could no longer be ignored. Gehrig's hands felt weak. His coordination faltered. Simple throws and routine swings became struggles. Doctors delivered the devastating truth. He was suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a rare and incurable disease that attacked the nervous system. In time, it would take away his ability to walk, to speak, even to breathe. On May 2, 1939, Lou Gehrig ended his legendary streak, quietly removing himself from the lineup after 2,130 consecutive games. The stadium that had cheered his strength now fell silent as he stepped aside. The Iron Horse was no longer unbreakable. Just 2 months later, on July 4, 1939, Yankee Stadium hosted Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day. Before a crowd of more than 60,000 fans, with his former teammates, including Babe Ruth, by his side, Gehrig addressed the nation. His voice trembled, but his words soared into history. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Even as he faced certain death, he spoke not of sorrow, but of gratitude. For his teammates, for the fans, for the life baseball had given him. It was a moment that transcended sports. In that instant, Lou Gehrig was no longer just a ball player. He was a symbol of grace in the face of tragedy. Lou Gehrig passed away on June 2, 1941, just 17 days before his 38th birthday. The man who once seemed carved from iron was gone far too soon, but his memory only grew larger. Within months, Hollywood released The Pride of the Yankees, immortalizing his story for generations. His number 4 jersey became the very first ever retired in Major League Baseball, a permanent reminder that some legends can never be replaced. Gehrig's battle with ALS gave the disease a name that still echoes today, Lou Gehrig's disease. But beyond the diagnosis, he left behind a lesson deeper than any box score. He showed that greatness isn't only measured in home runs or championships. It's measured in dignity, in humility, in the courage to face the unthinkable with grace. Fans who saw him play remembered the power of his swing, the reliability of his glove, and the streak that seemed endless. But what they cherished most was the man who, when stripped of everything, stood before the world and declared himself lucky. His words still resonate, etched into the soul of baseball and American culture. Lou Gehrig was more than the Iron Horse. He was proof that even in life's cruelest moments, a man can inspire millions simply by the way he carries himself. His body may have been broken, but his spirit remains unshakable. And that is why, more than 80 years later, Lou Gehrig's name still stands as one of the most enduring in the game's history.